the Energy Democracy Project really represent a unique collaboration amongst its affiliate organizations, which advocates for community-based, solutions-focused, and frontline-led and justice-centered renewable energy effort. So now let's hear from some of them about the energy problems our communities face and the solutions we came up with. I will hand it over to Chandra and Yesenia to talk about utility burdens.
I'm Chandra Farley with Partnership for Southern Equity. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. Proud to be sort of one of the founding partners of the Energy Democracy Project. And a lot of our work at PSE and in partnership with a number of organizations in the Energy Democracy Collaborative has been around utility justice, particularly in this moment as we are facing the dual pandemics of COVID and ongoing demonstrations of systemic racism. It's critical to be able to draw upon the experiences of groups who have made things like community choice aggregation happen, out in California, or who have been able to make solar cooperatives happen in other parts of the country. As we continue to here in the South, particularly in Georgia, where those opportunities really just haven't started to materialize yet. Really excited to continue this work and particularly lean on this group and all my friends and colleagues here as we continue this fight to really remove the barriers that utilities put in front of us due to their outsized power to block us from being able to make our own choices and decisions about where our energy comes from and how much we pay for it and how we get access to it. So I'll toss it over to my friend Yesenia.
Thank you, Chandra, for setting up the contents on utility burdens. I'm Yesenia Rivera from Solar United Neighbors, and I am the co-anchor of the People's Utility Justice Playbook Committee. And I'm talking today on how we plan to overcome this particular challenge. This playbook came to be because we have seen activists across the country fighting some of the same fights, sometimes literally from the same playbook or same legislation cooked up by utility industry groups like the Edison Electric Institute. This People's Utility Playbook is an attempt to connect those fights, like Chandra mentioned, and identify our own strategies and tactics that will position us for success and help us learn from experiences our allies across the country have seen, what works, what doesn't work. We are collecting stories from field of people fighting their utility in pursuit of energy democracy and utility justice. To date, we have done over 20 of these interviews. And those interviews, in addition to the knowledge base of the group that's writing the playbook, will help create a product that is based on the reality of what is happening on the ground. And I think that is key. This playbook is made by grassroots organizations who are seeing real winning strategies for other grassroots organizations so they can learn from those strategies and go on to win their own campaigns. We plan for this to be a straightforward, easy to use playbook. It's not filled with jargon or inaccessible language, so that people can feel empowered with the knowledge and strategies they need to fight their own utilities. However, a resource like this playbook can only be as useful as the people's ability to access them. So therefore, I'm going to hand this over to Jessica and Ernesto, who will share with you the energy problem around the access to information and resources.
Thank you, Yesenia. I'm Jessica Tovar. I'm with the local Clean Energy Alliance. I'm an energy democracy organizer. I'm somebody who grew up by 5 gas-fired power plants, transformers, and I constantly had headaches and other effects that were, I know deeply that they were related to, the environment that I grew up in. Like, these decisions have been made for us. That infrastructure has been set in place. It's important for us to be involved into really restructuring the system, because if I had my 2 cents in it, it would look very different. And there would not be any power shutoffs, right? We would not be leaving people literally in the dark. My experience has been, I had to learn about the energy system. You know, for somebody like me, if somebody were to hand me a toolkit and say, hey, go for it, organize and change the system, that doesn't work. We need human interaction and a network, which is why we've established this group of people to be able to change the system into what we need it to be. And so that works for our people and it doesn't leave us in the dark, right? And get that technical assistance. And that's all very difficult to acquire. A small group of people working on a shoestring budget, well, we have to get this information, we have to get it to the community in order to democratize energy. We have been disempowered and left in the dark in more ways than one, so that we cannot, you know, interact and advocate to change the system. So with that, I'll just say clean power to the people.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Ernesto Cruz, and I'm with Co-op Power in Massachusetts. And I am also the co-anchor with Al Weinrub for the Resource Hub Committee. And the Resource Hub is a connector between affiliated organizations who need or provide the skills and resources to promote energy democracy. And what we've just heard is that there's a serious ease of access issue relative to getting the information for energy democracy. So though there are many toolkits, resource libraries, online folders, websites, videos, and more, there's no one dedicated place to making sure that all the right information is in the right place and then connecting people to those resources and bodies of knowledge. And so the Resource Hub would be a service provided by staff available to help communities and local organizations attempting to do energy democracy work to find those informational resources, skills, partners, and organizations they need to get their projects and campaigns across the finish line. But to build power, we need to strategically connect our work together. And Colette and Russell are going to share with you the problems behind the disconnected work in a time of movement.
Thank you so much, Ernesto, and thank you, Jessica. I work on the committee with Russell to really talk about strategic gatherings, but to really understand why there is a committee around strategic gatherings requires us to acknowledge that climate change is a reality for many of our communities right now. And the climate reality is absolutely connected to a new energy future. The good news is that it's time to link and scale up the work. And this is what we're missing in the movement right now. There's a lot of great work happening on the ground. There are folks doing amazing things, but there's a challenge here and it's time. And time is going to require us to scale up. The good work needs to be linked up in order to scale up. If there are answers that don't exist yet, we need to put the best minds together to innovate based on experience, best practices, and information. And finally, I'll just mention that this COVID pandemic has had a terrible hit on communities and has catalyzed the movement around energy. We see that when we're talking about shutoffs and moratoriums, folks are actually asking the question that Jessica just talked about, like, how do we control our own energy? Why are we at the mercy of these utility companies? This has to be part of the conversation, even around this crisis. Energy democracy has a valuable role to play. And to be impactful and to go to scale, we're going to need to coordinate our efforts. I want to turn it over to Russell to talk about what coordination could look like and how we can come together. Russell?
Thank you, Colette, for presenting those very critical challenges to the planet and to people and communities across the nation. My name is Russell Hicks. There will be future recurring gatherings providing a space for sharing relevant data, community progress reports, and frameworks for affiliate organizations to advance the broader vision of energy democracy across the United States. The gatherings also serve as a trusted space for sharing and learning, accessing critical resources, training staff, and to plan collective actions to advance energy democracy. And third, the annual gathering agenda is designed to democratize information, create accessible processes to present and create data-driven policy recommendations, measure goals, and to capture feedback. So we are very blessed to gather with our affiliate organizations in Detroit. Now that you've heard a lot about our collective work, we would love to hear from you.